Thank you, Lena. Thank you.
I tell them if they're not here, they need to have this. Yeah. No one told me that's what I mean. Consent agenda.
Six, we got more than enough. 205. What are they over there talking about? They over there huddled about something. What's that, bro?
Well, let us call.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get everybody in place here so we can get started. Welcome to today's commission meeting. I hope everybody's enjoying this beautiful weather. It's outside. Appreciate everybody being here today. Madam Clerk, if you are ready, I call this meeting to order.
Yes, sir. At this time, we will ask the Reverend Nadine Ellisworth Moran, Associate Pastor of the Reed Memorial Church, if she would please come forward to deliver our invocation. And we would like to ask our former mayor, Bob Young, if he would please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Will you please stand?
Madam Clerk, for some reason, I don't know if your mic is. Can you make sure her mic is on? It's on? Here? Okay. All right, great. Thank you.
Good afternoon and greetings to the mayor and the commissioners from Reed Memorial Presbyterian Church. We are from the Reformed tradition, and just a note about what we purport to believe about civil service, because we do believe it is an important role in the world today. John Calvin, one of our founding fathers, writes that civil government is responsible to defend sound doctrine of piety, to adjust our life to the society of humankind, to form our social behavior according to civil righteousness, to reconcile us to one another, and to promote general peace and tranquility. And to that end, I believe all of us here are called and yet cannot serve in that particular capacity that occupies each of our commissioners and mayor today. So I give thanks to you for hearing and answering that call to serve. Please pray with me or observe a moment of silence in accordance with your own beliefs. Holy One, we give thanks for all who have gathered here to discuss the business of community, to listen attentively to one another, to make room for grace and for inspiration. We ask that these women and men who have answered your call on their lives to serve in public office will do so with humility, intelligence, hope, and love for the well-being of this city's citizens as well as the future residents who will one day call this place home. Their work is sometimes tedious and often arduous. It is sometimes thankless. So today, Holy One, we ask your blessing on this meeting, on this work of nurturing the soul of a city, that you will give them wisdom as well as wise counselors, that you will give them patience, forbearance, and generous hearts. May this work be a blessing to them and to this community, and may they rest peacefully at day's end, knowing they have served to the best of their abilities and for the common good. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Miranda, would you please stand? We appreciate you coming today, and especially reminding us of our civil as well as spiritual obligation, wherein we know that Christ ordained government. So it is within the Holy Writ. We appreciate you coming today to invoke God's presence on our behalf. We truly appreciate you, and thank you for taking the time to be with us today. Please accept our deepest gratitude, and we value the spiritual insights you shared with us today. And may your thoughtfulness serve as an act of service for God. By these presents be it known, Reverend Nadine Ellsworth Moran, Associate Pastor of the Reed Memorial Presbyterian Church, is Chaplain of the Day. May her spiritual guidance and civic leadership serve as an example for all Augustans. Given under my hand this 17th day of September, Garnett L. Johnson, Mayor. Thank you.
Pastor Ellsworth Moran, thank you so much for being here today. For that much timely prayer. Former Mayor Bob Young, thank you for leading us in that Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Clerk, if I may have a moment of personal privilege, I have to read a proclamation in recognition of Prostate Cancer Awareness Week. So we have a great director, Mr. Oliver Page, who at our last meeting told us the importance for men of getting screened. Today, as you know, it's a fairly easy PSA screen, so if you're within that age, I highly encourage you to go get screened. It's one of the easiest cancers to cure with early detection. Whereas prostate cancer is the #1 cancer among men and the second leading cause of cancer-related to deaths in the United States, with an estimated 1 in 44 men dying of the disease. In the state of Georgia, prostate cancer is the leading cause of cancer in men and the second most cause of cancer in the death of men. Whereas the American Cancer Society estimates in 2024 there will be approximately 299,000 new nationally reported cases of prostate cancer and 35,000 recorded deaths as a result of prostate cancer. Whereas the risk factors associated with prostate cancer are age, genetic makeup, family medical history, and race and ethnicity. Whereas, albeit a serious disease, most men who receive a diagnosis of prostate cancer do not die from it. With more than 3.3 million men in the United States who are still alive today after receiving a diagnosis, when caught early, prostate cancer has a 5-year survival rate of nearly 100%. For late-stage diagnosis, 5-year survival rates is only 31%. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Garnett Johnson, Mayor of the City of Augusta, on behalf of this body, proclaim September 17th to September 23rd, 2024 as Prostate Cancer Awareness Week. Thank you guys, ladies and gentlemen, for letting me share that. It's a very important disease, and I highly encourage you to see your physicians and get tested. Thank you. Madam Clerk, let's continue.
Thank you, sir. Call your attention to the recognition portion of our agenda. We would like to ask our Human Resources Director, Ms. Anita Rookert, would she please come forward to offer congratulations from the Commission on the 2024 August Years of Service 20 to 25-year recipients. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor Johnson, commissioners, distinguished guests, and citizens of Augusta. It is our esteemed pleasure to recognize our August Years of Service recipients. For the month of August 2024, we had 34 employees celebrating 5 to 50 years of service with Augusta. This afternoon, we'd like to recognize our 25 to 50 years of service. For the month of August, the total years of service and institutional knowledge being celebrated today, 470 years. Yes. Very impressive, very impressive. So when I call your name, please come forward. Barry Smith, engineering, 30 years. Shad Johnson, the fire department, 30 years. Arlene New, Central Services, 35 years. Oh. Alvin Tapley, engineering, 35 years. William McCarthy, Sheriff's Office, 35 years. Nathaniel Goodwin, Sheriff's Office, 35 years. David Holmes, RCCI, 40 years. Congratulations to all of our years of service recipients.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more round of applause. 470 years of service to this community. That's truly remarkable. Thank you for your service. Madam Clerk, I think that takes us to our delegation portion of this meeting.
Yes, sir. I call your attention to our delegation portion, item B. Mr. Bob Young and Don Clark regarding the final report on the State Veterans Cemetery, Augusta.
Thank you, Ms. Bonner. Mr. Mayor and Commissioners.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you? If you will, for the record, please state your name and address, even though I don't think either of you need much of an introduction. But we got to do it for the record.
Bob Young at 2103 Summerhill Lane, Augusta.
Don Clark, 4048 Madison Lane, Augusta.
Thank you, gentlemen. The floor is yours.
5 years ago this month, the Mayor and Commission sent us out on a mission to get a state veteran cemetery for Augusta. And we had a different mayor then. We also had a few different commissioners then. So I think it's important we come back with a final report on our efforts. And that final report is included in your agenda book today, and we would ask you receive it as information and have it be spread on the minutes of the meeting. The bottom line is that if you want to have one, and that's a policy decision you're going to have to make, you're going to end up having to pay for it. That is, pay for the construction. The state of Georgia will accept it into its cemetery system and pay the maintenance and operations in perpetuity. It'll cost you not one more penny after the initial construction. There are ways to pay for it. SPLOST money, of course, you can go back to previous SPLOST and sweep those for unspent funds. You can bond it. There are many ways to pay for it, but the primary thing is at some point, not today, we're not asking for a vote today, at some point you've got to answer the question, as a matter of public policy, do we want a state veteran cemetery in Augusta? And we have the land reserved at Racewood. The state still has 200 acres set aside for that, and the State Department of Veteran Services is fully capable of building the cemetery, owning it, and operating it once the funding is identified. So that's essentially why we're here today. Don?
So obviously, 5 years later, hearing this, on behalf of the veterans of throughout the CSRA, not just benefiting veterans in Augusta. But I do want to make sure, to Bob's point, we've done every effort there is in trying to ensure that we secure the funding, from going through the federal levels, going to the state, and now bringing you all the final report of what we currently have. Everything has been procured from a planning perspective. The firm who has designed and planned all of our existing cemeteries throughout the state is 2KM Architect firm, who is right here in Augusta. They've been our technical advisors throughout this. But finding suitable land, which we have done that, to give our veterans that have served their country proudly and who have made the CSRA and Augusta home a final honorable resting place, I think it's the least we can do for any and everyone that proudly took the oath for their country. So again, 5 years is a long time to carry anything. Not the most desirable of messages that we want to share, that, hey, we couldn't finish this or get everyone on one accord to get us to that point. But bottom line, we're giving you what we have, where the facts remain, and what the challenge still stands for all of us. The nearest cemeteries we have are Columbia, South Carolina, and Milledgeville, Georgia. Milledgeville, Georgia, in 2001, established that cemetery. 23 years have gone by. Less than 350 veterans out of the CSRA have been buried in Milledgeville. That's in 23 years. And that's because families really don't want to have to absorb the additional cost, stress, and burden of having to travel those distances, those two locations, to visit their final resting place. So again, we brought all the folks from the federal level, the state level, and otherwise throughout the region together, understanding the issue, but also understanding who it impacts. And now we have the challenge to determine what we're going to do to ensure that we can be a very significant but impactful contribution towards ensuring that we're not installing a cemetery that the city of Augusta, the county of Richmond County, would own and manage, but assisting the state in adding this to their inventory so that we can honorably recognize our men and women that have proudly served their country. We stand by for questions.
Thank you, Commissioner-elect, former Mayor Young. There's some colleagues in the queue. First up, District 4 Commissioner, Mr. Alvin Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I want to say thank you to our former Mayor Bob Young and our future commissioner there, Don Clark, for the outstanding work that you've done for the past 5 years. That's a lot of work. It's a lot of good work, which I consider good work as God's work. So it's something that needed to be done, and I would hate to see 5 years of work go by the wayside. As a Army veteran myself, a retiree for 20 plus years in the Army, another 15 as a civilian, I realized the growth that has happened around Augusta, Richmond County. And this growth has been exponential with bringing in different agencies. We have different joint task force out at Fort Eisenhower and so forth. And we're still bringing in more. So we've grown at least 10, 12,000, maybe another 10,000 before it's all over with. It would be a shame when we have land that has been set aside that we would not be able to take full advantage of this. Now, of course, I was part of that delegation that went up to Atlanta for us to talk with them, and they even recognized that there was a need. There was a need right here in this city, and we have a location set aside. Now, I know there's not an ask for today, but to me, there should be an ask. And to me, the ask would be for this body to fund through SPLOST money that $13 million. And the reason why I say that is because the initial $13 million, it's not that the city would be taking on any additional costs, operational or even maintenance-wise. That now would be an asset for the state. And the state then would take over that. So I want to make sure that we're very clear on that. Any monies that we do up here towards that cemetery being built, we do not have any costs in perpetuity in terms of operation or maintenance or anything like that. I think that's very, very important. It also shows that we here in Augusta, Richmond County value the veterans that have served this community. Augusta, Richmond County, economically or otherwise, would not be as sound as it is if it wasn't for the veteran presence. Houses are being built because more veterans are coming in. Stores are being put up because more veterans are coming in. Car dealers are getting more car dealerships and cars are being sold because more veterans are coming in. Water bills coming in, electric coming in. All from our veterans that are coming into Fort Eisenhower and the surrounding area. So, Mr. Mayor, I think it would be appropriate if whether we make a move at this point or not, or whether we need to bring it back, I'm not sure how to do it, but I would advocate for us to have that $13 million, or put that $13 million from the city to state very clearly that we are on board. Okay, the feds couldn't do it, the state couldn't do it, but by God, we can. And then from that point on, it belongs to the state, and they'll fund it from there. I don't know what your feelings are. I don't know the feelings of my colleagues, but that's where I stand. And I would hope that maybe we could even say something today to solidify it, or at least put us in the right direction of trying to go for that $13 million. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner from the 4th. Would it be your suggestion that we potentially add this to a potential SPLOST list for us to discuss?
That would be my suggestion.
Okay. All right, thank you, Commissioner Mason. Chair recognizes Commissioner Catherine Smith-McKnight from the 3rd.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to thank District 5-elect. Can't wait to work with you. Mr. I'm thinking Don Clark, and former mayor. I do fully support funding the Veterans Cemetery. We are, in part, a proud military town. A great abundance of our citizens have retired for their services and made Augusta their home. And I believe we should honor those that serve with Augusta, serve here, and, let it be their final resting place. And as my colleague from the 4th said about the $13 million, I'm behind that 100%. And I just want to say thank you for all you've done, both of you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner McKnight. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 9th, Commissioner Francine Scott. The floor is yours, madam.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to ask a question to Mayor Young and Mr. Clark, please.
Yes, ma'am.
My question is, have you all thought about having regional people like Columbia County, Aiken County, and everybody in the region to assist with this monetarily with this cemetery?
Yeah, so remember when we first took this on, and many of you all may not know, the initial plan was to go throughout the region to gain a level of concurrence. So we did that and some. We gained that concurrence. We haven't had a direct conversation with, hey, Columbia County, hey, North Augusta, hey, otherwise, would you all give us $5 million, and however we get to that number. So again, our point today in coming before you is to say, listen, 5 years has gone. The two of us have run as far as we can run with it.
And the price keeps going up.
And the price continues to rise. We started out with this at $10 million. Of course, with inflation and everything is getting more expensive. So we've estimated it at $13 million. But again, Commissioner Scott, to your point, it's something that should be considered and discussed, because it does not just impact our veterans in Augusta. It's a state veteran-run cemetery that would benefit the entire region. So it's absolutely a just suggestion I have.
thank you, and thank you for the job that you have done. Well done.
Thank you, Commissioner Scott. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 10th, Commissioner Wayne Guilfoyle. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I would like to compliment Super District 9, Francine Scott. Thank you for coming up with that idea. Actually, it should be a joint effort. I'm in total agreement with Commissioner Mason. As an Army brat myself, my father served in Nam, Korea. Our pictures of black and white while he was in the jungle. But it would be a great start on this commission starting next year to where we could start doing good things again. That would be something staple that would be in this community long after we are gone. But I do appreciate you too, Don Clark, former Mayor Bob Young, for your dedication on trying to get this done for the last 5 years. But I am in support of it as well. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Commissioner Guilfoyle. Commissioner Mason.
Yes, just one other point, Mr. Mayor, and it would be, in theory, a great idea if other entities jumped in. But what we don't want, certainly what I wouldn't want to see, is trying to get them in, and it's taken 2 or 3 more years to try to get everybody on board for one reason or another, because we know how politics is. And then who's going to be the honcho? Columbia County may want to charge it. You may, who knows? So the bottom line is, if we take the initiative, and I'm not saying that we can't at some point address that or ask those questions or see if we can't get some sort of assistance. But did put it up, my suggestion, like I said, Mr. Mayor, to put it on for SPLOST talks and to do that $13 million. And I think we would have an opportunity to discuss, as Commissioner Scott was saying, with other entities as well. We just need some points of contact, whoever we've talked to previously, to see if there's something that we can do. But what I would hate to see happen is for that to hinder what we do. Because at the end of the day, we don't necessarily have to wait on anybody. And yes, it's somebody from Florida can come to Augusta. No, we're not asking Florida for nothing. Somebody from Ohio could come to Augusta if they're a veteran and live. We're not asking them for anything. Not saying it's a bad idea, but I'm just letting you know, you can come anywhere around the world and you could be in that cemetery. So we don't want to allow any potential hiccups to keep us in this position 2, 3, 4 more years down the road as we're trying to get a consortium together to agree on this one thing. And so thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to make sure that I put that out there so that everyone understands that people from anywhere can come here and be buried, just like we can go anywhere else and be buried. But we want Augusta to stand up so Augusta can stand out. We can no longer sit down while Augusta shuts down. We got to stand up so Augusta can stand out. So that's my little brief.
Thank you, Commissioner Mason. Deputy Administrator Jackson, can you make sure that $13 million for the veteran cemetery is included in the SPLOST list for discussion purposes?
Yes, sir. I just noted that.
All right. Thank you so much. Gentlemen, former mayor, Commissioner-elect, thank you guys for being here. Appreciate all the work you've done.
Thank you. Thank you for what you all do, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, Madam Clerk, I think that takes us to B. Sorry. C.
Ms. Janet M. Small, regarding the lack of an electric utility company service center in Augusta and the price of apartment rentals.
Thank you so much. Welcome, Ms. Small. How are you today?
Fine, thank you.
Thank you so much. For the record, could you please state your name and address?
Janet M. Small, 2133 Vanderveer Road in Augusta.
Thank you, ma'am. You have 5 minutes.
Okay. I'm here to discuss, as you stated, the lack of a place for Georgia Powers to speak about, have a dispute about our bills. Now, I'm going to take you to a day that I went through, 9/4. I paid my bill on August the 15th. 9/4, I get a letter from Georgia Powers stating that they did not, that my money did not clear, and that I would owe a late fee and 2 bills. I knew that wasn't right because my account had taken that money out of my bank account. So I called the company Georgia Powers to find out what was going on. Georgia Powers, the woman that I spoke to, she stated at first that I hadn't paid the bill at all, but then as she went through checking, she found that the bill had been paid, but for some reason it was fraudulent, and I didn't understand what that meant. So she didn't really go on any further. She told me to check with Bill Matrix. Normally, I don't pay my bill through Bill Matrix. I use my checking account. But at this particular time, I had to pay through Bill Matrix because the phone wasn't working properly. It was, and the phone, when I called on the phone, it took me 6 tries to get somebody. And then the phone, they had me to press a button and go to another person who told me he was a bill collector for Georgia Powers, and he gave me his phone number and told me that he could take the payment and that it would go on my bill and that he would, but it would come up under another name. I didn't quite hear what he said because my phone started ringing. So I paid my bill. I looked at my Chase account and the bill was paid. But like I said, 9/4, I get this letter stating that it was not, did not clear. So, like I said, the first woman I spoke to, she didn't really give me a full understanding as why this happened. So the next time I called another person, she did tell me that somebody called and canceled the payment. And I didn't even know you could do that, but she told me someone called, canceled the payment, and that my bill was not paid. I would have to pay both bills, and she would take off the late fee, but she stated that I would have to find out from this man that took the payment where my money was. Well, I had the number to call him, and I did call that number, but I could never get through. It was either the number didn't work or it was voicemail, leave a message, but it was full. So, having gone through all of that, I just called my bank. I had my card canceled, and I went on to call and see the mayor. I called Mayor Johnson's office to see if there was anything that they could do, if I could come to one of these meetings and discuss that. Though technology is great and all, I mean, you know, I'm a baby boomer. I'm 73, so we're used to talking face-to-face to people. And there was no way for me to get answers that I needed from anybody. The computer couldn't tell me anything. So when I called the mayor's office, a woman answered the phone, and she told me that there was a place that I could go to. And she gave me an address of 2103 North Lake Road. I'm not from here, as you can see, but I went to that address right then on 9/4. I went to that address to talk to someone. When I got there, it was a building being built with a lot of construction workers. So then I was really upset and shocked about that, but I called again to the mayor's office. A man answered the phone this time, and he told me, well, the computer misled her, so he gave me the correct number. He said 301 15th Street, Southern Company, and I went there. There was a trailer there and a lot of equipment, but there was no office. And so I really don't understand why if you work for the mayor's office, you should know your city. And so I left there, and I just gave up for that moment. But I did, my bank straightened everything out, gave me my money back. I don't know who that person was, but Georgia Powers sent me to that person to pay the bill, and I had nobody to dispute this with, nobody to talk to. And I just think that there needs to be a place where you can go to speak to someone when you have a dispute, something like that, or worse, I guess. My next thing was about.
You have about a minute.
Oh, okay. The next thing is about what Governor Kemp had signed a bill where you could not ask for 3 times, make 3 times the amount of your rent. And he said that it came into effect July 1st. It was not supposed to be stated by any apartment. A friend of mine was going to get an apartment, and everyone has reported to her that she has to make 3 times what her rent would be. She called the governor's office. The man there, Kevin, said they cannot do that. He gave her a number to call. She gave the names of the people, but they're still doing it, and I don't understand why, because it was announced it's a violation of renter's law. That was it.
Thank you, ma'am. It's unfortunate that Georgia Power really had no jurisdiction over them, and I think years ago they decided to remove all of their customer service centers, and I think you have to pay your payment either remotely or there may be some payment processing centers. But to my knowledge, I don't think there's an actual customer service office that's within Augusta anymore.
Well, what are you to do if you have a problem?
I'm assuming they're going to direct everyone to those 800 numbers. It's unfortunate. But that's what it's going to. I think even to pay a telephone bill now, I think you have to either go to a payment processing center, and a lot of them are at convenience stores and a lot of other places, but I think a lot of the customer service related functions are unfortunately now, you have to resort to calling the 800 number.
I wasn't given an 800 number. The number I was given was an 888 number.
Or same thing, toll free.
Well, I mean, but I paid the bill through that person at that number, and it didn't go through. I mean, I don't understand. That was what I got the letter for. It didn't clear.
Yes, ma'am. Well, my apologies on behalf of Georgia Power, but I can tell you my office does have some contacts in extreme circumstances that we can help you with, and I'll make sure I do a better job of communicating that with my staff to make sure that we don't send you on errands unnecessarily. Okay. We certainly appreciate you being here today. Appreciate the concerns.
Okay.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Our last delegation, Ms. Jo A. Nash Connor, to discuss the issues surrounding the marina.
Good afternoon, Ms. Nash Connor. If you will, for the record, please state your name and address.
Good afternoon as well to you all. My name is Jo Nash Connor. My address is 15 5th Street Marina, and that's Augusta, Georgia.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Nash, you have 5 minutes. Ms. Nash Connor, I'm sorry.
Yes. First of all, just wanting to say good afternoon to everyone here. And as a resident of the 5th Street Marina on Dock A, I'm here to present several ongoing issues, including access to running water, which had a devastating impact on the residents. While I am here to speak for not just myself, I'm certain that we all agree that water is an essential to every human being's life. Going without water running for 8 days had a very heavy impact on all of us. It has since been repaired. There was a leak there. It has since been repaired, but I'm just concerned, and these are my concerns. The residents had called, and as well as management, had called the 311 number to no avail. We were just given, we gave what the situation was, we talked, we spoke, and nothing happened. And there is documentation of that. My next concern would be the electrical boxes that are there on the docks there. They're inadequate, and often they're dysfunctional, and partially, definitely it's partially when it rains. They're kind of going on and off for us. The third one would be the no-wake zone, which has been reported to the appropriate city agencies several times, and still there have been no resolve. Management has explained to the rest of us, the residents there, that the city handles this type of problem through their correspondence with the United States Coast Guard. So that's the information we have about that. The fourth issue is the lack of maintenance of the dock has resulted in multiple breakages of the structure. Also, repeated temporary repairs done by management to keep our boats from floating down the river, or even more catastrophic results. It's only an interim fix. Each of these conditions by themselves is harmful and inconvenient. Together, they are formula for a preventable disaster. I've come here before you to ask that since every one of these concerns I've stated already has a responsible governing agency of the City of Augusta, we would just ask that, please, some action would be taken in regards to these things that are causing us real concern. We would ask also that you would please expedite these resolutions of these problems before they become horrendous disasters in a city with global recognition. And speaking on the terms of global recognition, in a couple of weeks, this city will have an onslaught of people from all over the world. They will be right down there at the water. They actually swim in that river. So we're just asking that that beautiful place down there in which I live, I take it personal because it is such a beautiful spot, and it really does bring me peace. I really do feel like it's a blessing. And I just ask that the blessing receive a blessing from the city. One of the things that I would like to bring up that I personally do, I walk 3 days a week, and in the mornings when I get up, I go and I grab a bag and I grab a trash picker. And as I'm walking, I pick up trash. No one has asked me to do that. It's not a requirement. But I feel like because I've been blessed with such a beautiful place to live, that it is my responsibility to keep it beautiful. So I'm just asking that the concerns that we have there at the marina, please be paid attention to. Thank you for your time and listening.
Ms. Nash Connor, thank you so much. I think as a body, we're working to resolve some of those issues down at the marina. And so we hear you. Now, there's one issue that we have no jurisdiction over, and that's the no-wake zone. I think that's the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, the game wardens, or maybe the Sheriff's Department. However, you can help with that. If you see someone continually speeding through the no-wake zone, take your phone out and record it. They should have a vessel registration number, and I think you may be able to report that by video or by picture of those people continually speeding through that no-wake zone. And as I understand, there's only one no-wake zone on the river, and it's between the bridges. So
That's
you're
right.
That's right. You're right in that. All right, colleagues, do you have any comments or questions, or should we have the Central Services Director come here and give an update on where we stand with the marina?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
All right, Interim Central Services Director, are you in the building? I think I saw you earlier. Here he is. All right. Mr. Lampkin, thank you so much, sir. Can you give us an update on some of the issues that Ms. Nash Connor addressed regarding the marina?
Yes, no problem. I did hear her discuss the electrical issues. Remember, y'all did vote for us to do those problems, correcting the electrical issues. We're in the process of getting that design done now, and then once that is complete, we'll bid that out or go into construction on that. So that should take care of their electrical issues. As far as the dock is concerned, you know, we did that full report with JLA on the issues with the dock itself, and I know what she's saying. It's been repaired. That dock needs to be replaced, but we don't have the funds to do that at this time. So it's been repairs made to keep the dock in shape. So that's the best we could do at this time unless other funding comes available for us to do that. If you do recall, I did put that in as a SPLOST 9 project. So if that is approved, we'll be able to get some of that other work done that she's talking about.
All right, thank you, Director. The Chair recognizes Commissioner George Johnson from District 1.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Connor, thank you for being here. When we discussed this, we made a couple attempts to get the issue resolved. I just want to ask, was the issue that Ms. Nash Connor was dealing with, was that an utilities issue or was that more of a maintenance issue?
Is that the water issue you're speaking of? As far as I missed that part of what was going on with
there was a leakage and they were without water for about a week or so.
Okay, so the issue with that was a water pipe did burst. Utilities had the requisition, went on site to correct that problem. It was a plumbing issue that needed to be fixed. We also got the service request in Central Services, so we went down and actually repaired the leak at that time. Also at the same time, Mr. Christian, who is the leaser of the marina, called another plumber. So it was a situation where it was more than one department that got involved. When utilities had originally went down and said that they were solving the problem, they were waiting to get the contractor down there to fix it. After all, Central Services end up getting somebody down there to repair and replace the pipe. So it's been done. Yes, that issue has been corrected.
And it took, it was just like that
right
from the moment that the phone call was made to actually getting the repair fixed. I think it was maybe a day or so, maybe 2 days at most. Ms. Connor, is that about right? How long did it take for those repairs to finish up?
For the whole situation, it took approximately like 8 days.
Okay.
And your remark about Mr. Christian, he is not equipped to call in anybody to do any work down there because that's just not what he's equipped to do. So no, he didn't call in any kind of
so for question and just for
to do anything.
Just for my final question. So right now we're just waiting on actually funding the full repair that you brought to us sometime earlier this year. Is that right? Is that where we are?
It would be funding to replace the entire marina dock.
Do you remember the price tag on that?
It could be anywhere between $4 to $6 million, depending on how much work we do down there.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
And another thing that I would like to throw in as well is that there was also a report done that said to do it piece by piece so that the people who live there are not then put into a homeless type situation. So I'd like to throw that in for the record, that please do it, but do it piece by piece so that, we get to still stay in our homes.
Right, on that, as you recall, for the electrical work, we did say we'll do one side, then do the other side, and then move forward with whatever else deemed necessary at that point.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Nash Connor, thank you so much.
I thank you as well.
Thank you for being here. Madam Clerk, I think that takes us to the consent portion of our agenda. I think I've asked you earlier, there are no addendum items.
No, sir.
All right.
Call your attention to the consent portion of our agenda, items 1 through 17. For the benefit of any objectors to our planning items, would you please signify your objection by raising your hand once the petitions are read? Call your attention to item number 1. It's a request for rezoning from a zone P1 professional zone to an R1C, one-family residential, affecting property located at 803 Metcalf Street. Are there any objectors?
Any objectors to this item? Seeing none, let's continue.
Item 2 is for a special exception to deny a petition by Sid Hong on behalf of the Greater Apostolic Temple requesting a special exception on the construction of a church parking lot affecting property located at 3002, 3004, and 3006 Green Forest Drive. Are there any objectors?
Are there any objectors to this matter? Yes, ma'am. I see 2 hands.
Yes, I did.
All right. We got you. Just a second. We're gonna get to you.
Item number 3 is a request is a concurrence to approve a petition requesting a special exception to construct one-family detached and attached dwellings affecting property located at 2359 Old McDuffie Road. Are there any objectors?
Any objectors to this matter? Seeing none, let's continue.
That concludes our planning items. Our consent agenda consists of items 1 through 17, with objectors on item number 2.
Okay.
Well, they're going to be read. They're not on the consent agenda.
Right, not on consent. Yeah.
They're
All
going
right.
to call that.
All right, we have our consent agenda going through the queue. Chair recognizes Commissioner Alvin Mason from the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I could, please, I need to pull item number 12 on engineering services. I got a short discussion.
All right, that's item number 12 being pulled.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chair recognizes Commissioner Catherine Smith McKnight.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to consent items 13 through 16.
13 through 16?
16.
13, 14, 15, and 16, Madam.
Correct.
You're recommending consenting those?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, they're already there. They're already on. They're there. All right, well, we're good then. They're already there. I'm sitting here sleeping, Madam Clerk. All right, Chair recognizes Commissioner Brandon Garrett from the 8th.
Thank you. I'd like to consent items 23 and 24.
23, 24.
And item 32.
And 32. Okay.
All right, 23, 24, 32. Chair recognizes Commissioner Wayne Guilford from the 10th.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to send agenda item number 25 back to committee. That was Sean Franham's, and can't really have a discussion here without him here. And then,
25 back to committee?
yes, ma'am.
25 back to committee.
And then consent agenda item number 26, 27, 29, and 30, if any of the colleagues don't have a problem.
27.
27, 29,
29 and 30.
9 and 30. Any objection to any of those? I don't see any. Commissioner Wayne Guilford. All right, Commissioner Brandon Garrett.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as stated.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the agenda as stated. See, Commissioner Mason, you're in the queue. You're out of the queue.
Moment, there were several seconds. Who you're acknowledging?
Commissioner Catherine Smith McKnight.
Okay.
All right, Madam Clerk, we're voting. Yeah.
Yeah, we're pulling the objectors so that they can be heard, sir.
That's number 2.
2 and
12.
12.
All right. All right, ready to vote? Here we go.
That motion carries with Mr. Bobby Williams and Commissioner Sean Franham out.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're going to go to the bottom. We're going to 31 first, and that someone asked me to start there. So let's go to item 31 first.
Item 31 is a motion to approve the Second Amendment to the agreement dated January 28, 1985, between the Church of Good Shepherd of Augusta and Augusta, Georgia, and Augusta Richmond County Public Library, and the Scott B. and Annie P. Appleby Trust.
Well, thank you, Madam Clerk. Who's?
Mr. Mayor, I believe Deputy Administrator Jackson will report.
All right. Deputy Administrator Jackson, are you going to report on this matter? You need to.
I'm going to ask, is there a Dr. Parkinson in the audience to speak on this matter?
All right, Dr. Parkinson, if you will, please approach. Sir, for the record, please state your name and address.
David Parkinson, 422 Waverly Drive, Augusta, Georgia.
Thank you, sir. You have the floor regarding this matter.
Yeah, I'm here representing the Church of the Good Shepherd and Episcopal Day School. We've been in good partnership with the library, the Appleby Library, for over 40 years on this lease. We use a portion of the library property as a part of our playground. Not sure the origin of that, but we would like to continue to be able to do that. And by moving forward with this renewal of the lease, we will be able to move forward with the construction of a brick wall, a 6-foot brick wall that would give us an added level of security. And I think we all know that in this day and age, we need to have our schools as secure as possible.
Thank you, sir. I see no colleagues in the queue. Is there a motion for this item?
Motion to approve.
There is a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wayne Guilfoyle. I see Commissioner Scott, you in the queue, or? All right, you're out of queue. Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second. We're voting.
That motion carries.
Thank you.
With Mr. Johnson, Williams, Franum out.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's go back to item number 2, please.
Item number 2 is a request for concurrence with the Planning Commission to deny a petition by Sid Hone on behalf of the Greater Apostolic Temple requesting a special exception to construct a parking lot affecting properties located at 3002, 04, and 06 Green Forest Drive.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Director Delaney.
Good afternoon. All right. The Planning Commission on September 4th heard the application for a special exception in regards to a church parking lot that is situated at the entrance of the Green Meadows subdivision. The applicant is requesting this special exception be established to formally create a parking lot. Right now, the biggest challenge that they are facing is that the properties are located at 304 and 306 Green Forest Drive, and they both have open code enforcement cases because we have been notified by multiple residents that there has been a lot of parking and traffic within the area that has prohibited them from accessing their residences as desired and intended. With that being said, the Planning Commission recommended denial of the application. I can field any questions from there.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Chair recognizes Commissioner Wayne Guilfoyle from the 10th.
So you received numerous complaints to code enforcement about the patrons of the church parking in other people's driveways, et cetera.
That is correct.
Would this parking lot alleviate that?
Not necessarily, because what was happening is they were parking illegally already on these residential lots. So even with them using the properties that have the residents on them and that are zoned residential, they were already using them for parking, and there was a congestion and problem there. So they were already using them inappropriately by parking on those properties.
All right, this church recognized the problem as far as the parking issues going on and the code enforcement complaints that they've been inundated with, I guess, fines or threatening to go to court. But with them trying to come up with the solution of attaining these 3 lots to put a parking lot in, that simplifies the problem. Would that, am I reading this wrong, Mr. Laney?
That is not the way we would interpret it. The 37 residents who signed the petition and also made an appearance at the meeting on September, they also realized that they made the initial investment in this subdivision as a residential development, and that everything that would be contained in it would be residentially used. They did not agree or sign up for a parking lot at the entrance of their neighborhood. Okay. Therefore, that would not be consistent with what the petitioners and the property owners who pay taxes wanted when they purchased.
I wasn't aware that the residents came out.
Yes, sir.
So, all right. Thank you, Mr. Lane.
Thank you. There is a couple of objectors who are opposed to this denial. Sir, you want to come up and say a few words?
Yes, sir.
All right. I would ask that maybe one or two. We don't. You guys come on up. The three of you come on up. There's three of you. Come on up. Those two. All right. Yeah. All right, sir. If you will, for the record, please state your name and address, both of you.
Yes, sir. My name is Sid A. Holmes, 544 Oconee Circle, Evans, Georgia.
All right, sir.
Yes, sir.
My name is Darren Ware, 4829 Apple Court, Augusta, Georgia, 30909.
And I'm going to ask you to give me the property address of where we're concerning someone up on this dais have asked for it.
Yes, sir. The house is 3002, 3004, 3006, Green Forest Drive.
Okay. All right. You got the floor, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. We've been in the neighborhood, the Great Apostolic Holy Temple Church, over 40 years, and we're part of the neighborhood, and we are growing now. And what we like to do, we like to demolish those houses and put a beautiful parking lot there. Not only that, it would take parking off the street and put them in a parking lot. And the nice lady said that we were parking other people's driveway. We parked those houses are ours. We purchased those 3 houses. Matter of fact, we have 4 houses in that neighborhood and a community garden. So what we're trying to do is just do what's right. The church is growing, and we need more parking. House 3002 is already zoned commercial. We just really trying to get 3004 and 3002, and it's a medium, it's a large church. With the overflow, we hold almost over 500 people. So we need that parking. And it would enhance the neighborhood. It won't demoralize the neighborhood. It will enhance. I have pictures of the houses where been broken into. I have police records right here, where the house has been broken into. Vagrants have been living in the houses. We're just trying to do what's right, and we're just trying to grow as a church, and it will enhance the neighborhood. It won't hurt the neighborhood, right. and we're not enemies with the neighborhood.
Mr. Holmes, and I'm gonna get to Commissioner Scott in just a second. My question: have you had any engineered renderings or design renderings on how you would change, and have you discussed and displayed those to the residents?
Well. They won't hear me, man. They won't hear me, man. They won't hear me.
So have you had an engineering firm to actually show you how?
For engineer, let me see. Yes, sir. We have President LT.
They just haven't been out yet.
No, he said they hadn't been out yet.
They haven't been out there.
No, sir. But we have discussed, phone-wise, we discussed, and as far as the drainage, it's a flood area. That area is a flood area because we did what's the area? What they call that? Morgan Road project. It's a flooding area. So we understand that, and we understand that it's a flooding area. So it would take the proper drainage, and we're willing to do all of that. Anything that we're going to keep them safe and keep us safe. We're part of the neighborhood. We part of Green Forest for over 40 years. Yes, sir. We definitely do anything that would keep to keep the neighbors safe always. Also, because we had to build a whole new church because of the flooding.
It would be my recommendation, this is just me speaking, that you create a plan to share with the neighbors to show them how you would enhance the area.
Oh, yes, please. By all means, yes, sir.
I can understand their concerns, too. If it's the entranceway to their neighborhood, they want to make sure that it's aesthetically correct in whatever your plans are.
Yes, sir.
That would be my recommendation. All right. All right. All right, Commissioner Scott, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
You have the floor, madam.
Just would like to make a couple of comments because I have been working with this community since I've been on the commission, and I know I'm sorry, I forgot your name, said that it's a good neighbor, but I've been getting numerous calls because I think your church back up to Mistletoe, and there's a ditch or a levee right there, and we get numerous calls about when you cutting your grass, it's blowing into the ditch, and that's causing a overflow over into Mistletoe and to different people's yards. And I don't think you have had any community meetings with the resident, and they did not buy those houses for it to become a place where you start parking cars, and you have not been, in my opinion, a good neighbors to the community. And I think we should refer this back to planning department to see if we can come up with something differently. And I'm not sure where we got this drawing from. And I think engineering.
Who's responsible for this drawing? Is this your drawing, or this is your drawing?
This is what was submitted with their application for the rezoning.
Okay.
In good conscience, and I'll ask my colleagues that we send this back to planning, and perhaps within that time, you all can get with the community and address the concerns that they have and bring it forth. But at this time, I don't think we should move forward with this.
All right, Madam Commissioner, can you put that in the form of a motion? See if we can get a second, please.
I would like to send this back to planning for more detailed conversation. And make sure we have traffic and engineering and utilities to be a part of this discussion.
All right, is there a second? There's a second from Commissioner. And I would also suggest that you engineer it to have something visible to show to the residents.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, so there's a motion and there's a second. Jordan, Commissioner Johnson. All right, see no colleagues in the queue, Madam Clerk, we're going to vote. Let's send this back to
Good.
That motion carries.
Mr. Ware, Mr. Holmes, thank you for being here, and I hope you get this resolved with the neighbors, okay?
Yes, sir.
I would say
Thank you
the
so
more
very
communication, it's better.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Thank you.
so much. All right, Madam Clerk, I think that takes us
12.
to 12. Yes, ma'am.
Item number 12 is motion to approve beginning the process to procure the traffic control chain curtain device as displayed by the traffic engineer and to reopen Olive Road immediately.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's see, I think it's Commissioner, huh?
That was me.
Yep, all right. Commissioner Scott, you still in the queue?
Yep. Oh.
No, you're fine. All right. Commissioner Mason, the floor is all yours, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I pulled this. I fully expect for it to pass here, but there's just a couple of things I want to speak to in reference to this. And if I could ask Mr. Ussery, is he here? Is Dr. Malik here? No?
Yeah, I think he's
okay. All right.
Yeah, gentlemen in the rear, if I could.
Yeah.
Could I have Commissioner Lewis? They're dispersing. All right, thank you. All right. Mr. Ussery. Commissioner Mason.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Ussery, there's just a couple of questions that I have from your presentation last week. And part of the presentation that you were giving, at some point, it kind of ruffled my feathers. It's not a good place to be. So I had to do some additional searching and investigating and getting some questions answered. From CSX, back in May, they stated that they were finished with their work that they had to do on the bridge, and they felt that, from their standpoint of view, the bridge could be open. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and at some point, but it wasn't open. And who made the decision not to open it?
I did.
And you made that decision unilaterally?
Well, I discussed it internally I was talking with CSX the entire time, and I ran it by the director. But yeah, it was my decision ultimately.
Okay, and so you ran it by the director. Did you speak to the administrator, anybody else in reference to that? Are you going to keep it closed?
No.
The reason why I'm asking, Mr. Unser, is because of the fact that, to me, I felt as though, and I understand safety, because I'm assuming the reason was, I think it was what you said last week, is that when you get the other curtains and everything, it'll provide more safety, and you didn't want it open prior to that because something else may happen. Am I quoting you right or paraphrasing you about right?
That's correct.
Okay, well, and I could see that if what we were talking about was going to alleviate this happening. But there was no way that anyone could state with any confidence that 100% it won't happen once we put this up. 80% it won't happen once we put this up. 70% it won't happen once we put this up. So there's a number of, what I'm saying is, so now there's a number of months that have gone by, and we still have to procure certain things, so I don't know how much longer that'll take. Do you know how much longer it'll take before we can actually start the erection of this curtain?
I'm hoping we have staff working on finding all the, as I said last week, this is not something off the shelf that I can just buy.
Right.
And so
and that's what concerned me.
We already are.
It's not off the shelf, so it may take you a while.
Yeah, I'm thinking it'll take about 60 days to procure everything and install it.
Okay, and that's a thought, but we don't necessarily know that as a fact. But even 60 more days is adding on to the 3, 4 months, 5 months, whatever it's been since CSX has said they were open. Now, I'm saying this to say this. In that area, that is a very, very busy thoroughfare through that area, and the residents that live down in that particular area. Without some sort of assurance, more than almost 100% that, okay, I'm waiting because this will stop this. Well, we don't have that. And I'm not knocking anybody for that. I don't think there is a way. I said it doesn't matter what we put up. For the most part, somebody's going to do it. They're just going to do it. But for 4 or 5 months, a decision was made by yourself, and I guess you said you ran it past the director. Now, I wasn't here for about 3 months, so let me know, did you speak to any commissioners in reference to that?
I spoke to, the district commissioners. I mean, I did talk to them about what was going on, and I was giving them regular updates, if that's what you're asking.
Okay, all right, and they knew that it was okay from CSX standpoint, as far as what they've done, what your decision was to keep it open, and you let them know that.
Yeah, I explained the same thing I explained last week, why I thought it was it was important for the safety of just motorists in general to leave it closed. And I explained why last week, and I can go over that again if you'd like.
No, you don't need to go over it again. I fully understood what you were saying, but I didn't agree with it simply because of the fact that what you were waiting on, number one, you couldn't tell us a specific date of when you were going to get the materials. That's number one, so it'd be a few more months, maybe even more than that before we get that done. And number two, there was no assurance that it would be any safer than anything that we've already done. And so from that standpoint, we've kept people from being able to go through that thoroughfare and inconvenience those that live down in that area for this longer period of time, and it would be an additional more time if we had kept it open. Now, I don't plan for it to keep open. I hope we can get the votes to open it here today. But what I'm saying is when we, and I'm not sure why, I'm not sure why it hadn't been spoke to before, but from the fact of the matter is that with you making that unilateral decision and letting your director know, and then you said you let the commissioner know, but this commission has the final say-so overall as to what happens with that road. I would have thought it would have came back to the commission. Hey, the commission, CSX says this, here's what I say back in May, and now you all can give me an idea of what y'all want me to do. That never came back until just now or last week. That's what makes me, my feathers got ruffled. And so I just believe that it should have been important enough for the citizens that live down in that area for it to have come to us Not just you make a decision on your own. That's so important, especially once the bridge has been completed by CSX. Just not making a decision like that and then that's it. So now we're here, and the reason why I pulled is because I just need to make sure that we understand that when you're making decisions, I don't know if you're looking at your target audience, I don't know if you're looking at the location, or what all that's going into that decision. I know we talked about safety, and safety should be, but that road should have been open when CSX said they're done, because there's nothing else for us to do but try to procure what we're talking about here, which in fact would not necessarily change anything. Now, we've dealt with signage, so that's the visual sense of the human being. Flashlights and all that. How many different signs or ways do we have of showing people that they shouldn't go that way? I think you gave us a number.
Over 30.
Over 30 different ways. So we dealt with visual. If we do this curtain thing, then that's a physical thing that can touch something. I haven't heard anything about audio. Have you ever thought about audio and adding audio into the equation?
There was an audio device at this location in the past. We removed it at the request of the neighborhood because it would go off at all times of the day and night, and then there was, young people having fun would set it off on purpose. So that was several years ago, but there was an audio device. It was a horn, and that was removed at the request. So
I'd be curious to know if, say for example, if one of the curtains that came down, that's what triggered it, and not someone who could walk around a person and trigger it on, and that would trigger it. Not only would it hit the curtain, but then it would trigger the audio as well. So now you're dealing with another human sense that if the sight didn't do it, the physical didn't do it, now the hearing. Now that, to me, that's more comprehensive. And let me do something here. Just bear with me a moment. Just something of that nature. I guarantee you that would certainly get somebody's attention, and that would be helpful. I'm not saying that would be the only thing, but that would be helpful. So the other reason why I took that off is to say, I mean, it seems like something simple, but that would be helpful. Now, your individual can't just walk around and hit that. It would happen based on a hit of one of the curtains or something like that. I want to make sure that we're being comprehensive when we're saying, let's go and do this, because then we turn around and then we shut it again and say, okay, well, that's not working. Now where are we going? Be mindful when we're making decisions of the people that it affects and how many people it'll affect. It may seem like something really small. Okay, a bridge is closed. But to those who live, work, and play in that area, that road is extremely important. And I don't know how many times it's been hit over the years, or the past year, or 5 years, or what have you, but there's 365 days in a year. I don't know how many times it's been hit. But if it's 5 years and it's 10 times, that's 5 times 365, that's a lot of days, and that's a small percentage. Now, we don't want any percent. But the point is that we can't allow what the few are doing to affect the many. Yes, we want that bridge safe. Yes, we don't want it hit. But more importantly, we want our citizens to be able to move through the way that they normally would, instead of being inconvenienced because of the fact that whatever we put up may not even help at all. That audio may not even help. I just thought I'd throw it in there for some giggles from my commissioner over here. that's really I just wanted to put that out there. And I wanted to also say that when you're making those decisions, make sure that's something that's important, because it is important, that the commission knows as a whole, because at the end of the day, it's the whole commission that's going to make the decision, not just one or two. With that being said, I'll make a motion that we pass this. And the bridge opens immediately.
All right.
The road, excuse me.
The road opened immediately with a second from Commissioner Catherine Smith McKnight. Commissioner Guilfoyle, you get out of the queue. You good, sir?
Yeah, I was just going to ask John a question.
All right, is there still a do you need to ask?
Yeah.
John, if you will, please reapproach.
Sorry, I thought you were done.
No, it's good, Mr. Usher. Mr. Usher, as far as CSX overpass, who's responsible if somebody hits it? Is Augusta Richmond County responsible at all?
So they're responsible for the bridge itself and the tracks and the structure, and we're responsible for the roadway, the road that goes underneath it.
Okay, so no damage is ever done to the road then?
Other than debris falling on it and potholing and things like that, no.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that, and that CSX is willing to participate in the help paying for the curtain itself, or are they open to discussion? Is that correct?
We've been in discussions for several months, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mr. John.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Usher. Thank you, Commissioner Guilfoyle. Commissioner Jordan Johnson from the first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. That Olive Road Bridge, I'm lucky because it's in my district. So when the director says he spoke to the commissioner, he spoke to the first district commissioner. He met with the first district commissioner. The first district commissioner met with the folks in that neighborhood. Actually had the pleasure of going door to door a few times. Had the pleasure of meeting with a few stakeholders in the neighborhood. When the item came up for the agenda last week, it came on the agenda last week because Commissioner Scott put it on the agenda, because we met with the neighbors and the directors. And my only concern with all of this, I think that what Commissioner Mason said is spot on about this device not being 100 proof, is that we're getting ready to spend almost $70,000 to put up something that number one, the commission didn't approve. That number two, when the commission saw this device the first time, it was stated explicitly that the device was not an approved device and that it would cost what it cost. And my biggest concern out of all of that is that, I'm just going to be having a hard time talking about spending 70 grand to install this item when CSX should be taking the same responsibility in getting this thing safe as the city of Augusta will. We're responsible for the road, which is why the director kept that bridge closed. As a matter of fact, even before the concrete blocks were removed, not the concrete blocks, the blocks that were there first were removed, a Ryder truck hit it and ran. I mean, it was another situation that didn't even hit evening news. So we're responsible for the road. We're responsible for the lives in that area. I remember the lady that was killed there about a decade or so ago. I remember the person that was killed there. And so I understand why the road was closed. I get that. But I think that we also, while we plan to reopen this bridge, this road, we need to have a real conversation about whether or not we want to fund this thing when, number one, we know that it's not going to be something that's going to be helpful to this area in general. And then two, what role will that railroad company play in this? It's just like, it's their bridge, but we're just jumping up and saying, oh, don't worry, we'll tap into our coffers and spend 70 grand here. When, mind you, the same neighborhood we're talking about we care so much about, their roads are still unfinished because of infrastructure work that was supposed to have been done that's still not done. There's still blighted houses in that neighborhood that still hadn't come down because we didn't fund it. So why not take that $70,000 and put it towards something that neighborhood would really care about, which is getting those houses demolished and getting their roads fixed, and not on a curtain that has some bells or chains on the bottom of it that's going to essentially do nothing. I think that the better use of funds would be to fix what's broken in that neighborhood, and then really hold the railroad company to their feet to the fire on fixing an issue that their property is causing in our community. That's the only concern that I have here. I'm going to vote for this to be open because I want it open, but we need to make sure that we're engaging CSX, because 70 grand is a lot for this city to be paying for something that's not 100 proof. And so I just put that out there.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson.
Oh, yeah, I mean.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second. I think we're prepared to vote.
That motion carries.
All right, quick question. Mr. Ushery, if you're still here, we voted to open this road back up. How long do you think it'll take to get this road back open for these folks?
So I made the calls last week after Tuesday's committee meeting, so it'll be open tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Ushery. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your patience with these public service issues. I think we're to them now, so thank y'all for your patience. Madam Clerk, I think that takes us to number 18.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Mr. Kemper.
Good afternoon. First alcohol license is AN 24-40. This is a new location. The applicant is Ricky Patel for Siam Ram Investments Georgia, LLC, in association with Sparks by Hilton. This is for consumption on premise for beer and wine, located at 1050 Clausen Road. Planning and Development and Sheriff's Office have recommended approval. Are there any objectors?
Any objectors to this matter? Seeing none, let's continue.
All right, the applicant's here.
The applicant, come on up, sir. Please state your name and address for the record.
Ricky Patel, 305 Oldwood Drive, Columbia, South Carolina.
Thank you so much. Is there a motion to approve this? So moved. All right, there's a motion. Is there a second? Somebody give me a second, please. Second. All right, I heard Commissioner Brandon Garrett. There's a motion and a second. We're voting.
That motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Patel. Let's move forward to the next item, Madam Chair.
Next is AN 24-41. This is an existing location, new ownership. The application is for retail package and beer and wine. The applicant is Sarita Gamage for Prabish Food Mart 1, Inc., in association with the Prabish Food Market located at 1675 Olive Road. Planning and Development and Sheriff's Office have recommended approval. Are there any objectors?
Any objectors to this matter? Seeing none?
Is the applicant's here?
Madam, if you will, for the record, please state your name and address.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sarita Games. My address is 1750 SC Merchant. My zip code is 30904. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, is there a motion to approve this?
Not yet.
All right, so there's a motion and a second by Commissioner Scott. Commissioner Mason, Commissioner Scott. Commissioner Johnson, you're in the queue, sir. Would
Yes,
you like
sir.
to add something, please?
Yes, sir. I want to hear from the applicant about their safety plan. This is the same grocery store with the same food mart that we dealt with a few months ago, where the commission didn't want to put the former owners on probation because of what was going on. For what I understand, they're back to regular business. Hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. What is your safety plan to keep down any unnecessary loitering or just activity at this store once you become the owner?
She may need some help.
She is the applicant for the alcohol license. The owner is not the applicant. She is the applicant. She works for the owner.
Somebody should still be able to answer that question.
Yeah, does she have someone that represents that store that speaks English that clearly, or that can articulate Commissioner Johnson's concerns?
That I'm not aware of.
I tell you what, can we make a motion to forward this back to the committee cycle and then have someone be able to come speak to that question, please?
All right.
I'll make that as a motion.
That will have to be a substitute.
I'll make that as a substitute motion.
There's a substitute motion. There's a second by Commissioner Mason. All right, that's to send this back to committee. All right, Madam Clerk, and no other colleagues in the queue, we're voting on the substitute motion to send this back.
I will get with you on this, okay? I'll be in touch. Okay. You're good for now.
That motion carries.
All right. Mr. Kepner, make sure we get someone here that.
Yes.
Thank you so much. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. All right, let's continue with item 20.
Next is AN 24-43. This is a new location. It's consumption on premise for liquor, beer, and wine with Sunday sales. The applicant is Alicia Council for the Patio One LLC. The business name is The Patio. It's located at 2417 Milledgeville Road. Planning and Development and Sheriff's Department have recommended approval. Are there any objectors?
Any objectors? Seeing or hearing none. Is the applicant here?
The applicant's here.
We have one.
Good day, madam.
Good day.
If you will, for the record, please state your name and address.
Alicia Council, 221 Courtney Circle, Grovetown, Georgia.
Thank you so much.
30813.
Thank you so much. Is there a motion to approve this item? There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Commissioner Scott. See no colleagues in the queue, Madam Clerk, we're voting.
An oversight, maybe. That motion carries.
Yeah, all right. So, Mr. Kepner, I think.
Was there a reason for number 20? Skipping 20?
Did I skip?
Oversight?
The massage operator? I'm sorry,
The grill, bar and grill.
Grill. Oh, did I?
Tanks. Oversight?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, I certainly didn't.
Okay.
All right, is AN 24-42. This is an existing location, new ownership for consumption on premise for liquor, beer, and wine with Sunday sales. The applicant is Joseph Tankersley for Tankersall LLC in association with Tanks Bar and Grill, located at 215 10th Street. Planning and Development and Sheriff's Office have recommended approval. Are there any objectors?
Are there any objectors to this matter?
Is he here, the petitioner here?
See him. Oh, there. Oh,
there he is. Sir, you can come right. You can start right there if you like. Just,
right here.
Yes, sir. You state your name and address for the record.
How's it going? My name's Joseph Tangersley. My address is 692 Riverfront Drive, Augusta, Georgia, 30901.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion to approve this item?
Motion to approve.
There's a motion. Is there a second? There's a second by Commissioner Wayne Guilfoyle. Madam Clerk, we vote.
That motion carries.
Thank you, sir, for being here. All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Captain.
All right. Last is a request by Amy Greer for massage operator's license, Garden City Wellness, in connection with the existing Bliss Salon located at 1432 Monsanto Avenue. Again, this is a new business in an existing location. Planning and Development and Sheriff's Department have recommended approval. Are there any objectors?
Any objectors? Hearing or seeing none? Madam, for the record, please state your name and address.
Amy Greer, 1008 Fairfield Avenue, North Augusta, South Carolina.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Pulliam, I see you in the queue. All right, so are you presenting the motion to approve? All right, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Commissioner McKnight from the third. Madam Clerk, we're voting.
I'm scared. That motion carries.
All right, Mr. Kepner. Madam, thank you so much. Does that conclude?
That concludes. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
We got 28. Madam Clerk.
Item 28 is to receive as information the emergency request for the assessment and corresponding drawings for the Augusta Riverwalk electrical distribution and lighting systems in the amount of $84,500 by Johnson LaShober and Associates, PC.
All right. Interim Director Lampkin. You have the floor, sir. You're up.
I didn't know if there's any questions. This is for the electrical issues that we're having at the Riverwalk with the sections of lighting that's being out. We have some exposed wiring, also some underground wiring that has decayed and needs to be replaced. So what this item is that this will give us a new electrical drawings to replace all the electrical work that's down at the Riverwalk at this time.
All right, Commissioner Wayne Guilfoyle, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Lankin, as far as how long have Central Service been aware of this issue?
Central Services had not been aware of this issue until we did the lighting replacement as part of the train contract. And when they replaced the fixtures, they gave us a report back of those issues that involved that lighting at the Riverwalk.
What was that, 3 years ago? With train?
No, sir. They just did this work the beginning of this year.
Back in January?
Right.
All right. Simple question. You calling this under emergency requests for the assessment, and we've been knowing about it for 8-9 months. How come it has not been addressed prior? Number one, if it's emergency, it should have been addressed prior. Number two, anytime we do an emergency request, we're going to be paying 30% plus for the assessment, or we could already handle this in a simple amount of time. I mean, help me out with this picture, because not everything's an emergency. If it was, for example, the demolition of the building on Broad Street, that became an emergency even though it sat for a year. That was odd. So we paying a lot more money for using that term, where you could have done this back in February to have the drawings made up, and heck, it would have been done by now.
No, sir. The reason why this was deemed an emergency is because of the exposed wiring and electrical. We have already been working on this. That's why it was for information purposes only, because it's already been a working process. The only reason it hasn't been changed yet is because we just couldn't go pull the wires without the drawing, and that's what they're in the process of working on now. So what we did is we safed it up, and then now we're waiting to be able to get the work done. This just gives us a drawing and a new electrical layout for that, and to replace the panel boxes. That's the issue. Most more than likely, once we get those drawings, it will actually go out for bid to get that replaced.
Thank you, Mr. Lampkin.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Johnson from the first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Lampkin, do we have the funds on standby ready to do the repairs?
Yes, these funds are coming from, I don't, if y'all recall, a few years back, Commission approved ARP funds for the Riverwalk, and that's where this funding is coming from.
Okay, all right, motion to approve. Well, motion to receive as information.
Let's see if we can receive his information without objection. Is there any objection to receiving this information? Hearing or seeing none, we receive it. Madam Clerk, does that conclude our business for today?
Yes, sir.
All right, that does. This meeting is hereby adjourned. You guys have a great rest of the day.